It is November, it is 2025, which means that it's time for Read What You Own again. I'm so excited, especially as this time I'll be doing it as an actual booktuber rather than someone just playing along at home. I'm so excited to talk about my history with the challenge, what the challenge is for the people who aren't familiar with it, and my own relationship with book buying and how it's influenced it. So see me on the other side of the intro. We'll talk about everything Read What You Own, and I'll be throwing in a cheeky little book review as well. Okay, so Read What You Own. First of all, if you're not familiar with it, what is it? It is a reading challenge that was set up by the BookTube community some years ago. It's been running, and it came to me via the wonderful Criminoli, but I know many people do it and talk about it. So it's a challenge in which you're addressing your own relationship with your TBR pile, the books you own, and you put a stop to your purchasing in order to spend some time reading the books you already have and appreciating those books. Very straightforward, and I'm sure we all do it to some extent anyway, but this is a very firm putting a number on, I'm going to read this many books before I can buy any more. And that number can be flexible and solely suited to your needs, whether you want to read 10 books or 50 books or 100 books, maybe not 1,000 books, that's pushing it, but whatever it is that you want to get out of it, the challenge works really well for that, I think, and you can set your own limits and work around your own relationship with book purchasing. So that's more or less it, and I have done it for 2 years now, I think. I read 40 the first year, and then I pushed for 70 the next year, and that was too much. That I failed. I couldn't do that much. I still got a lot read, and I was very proud of it, but it was too much for me. And that kind of feeds into my slightly mixed relationship with this project. Because I love the idea of any sort of project, any gamified way of reading, I'm there for it. As you will hopefully see from my other videos. I love that. And so I was always going to leap into this feet first. And I have a complex relationship with my own TBR, as we all do, of course. I've got a lot of books, and I'm in a lot. Like, for a booktuber, perhaps it's not that many, but I'm still only a very new booktuber. And I've had that amount of books for a long time. I'm just a civilian. And I'd say it's probably around the 700 mark, maybe higher. So I've always had this very large number of books to be read. And I made my peace with that because I like having a library of my own. However, I also know it's not necessarily great for my reasons for buying those books aren't coming from a healthy book-loving place necessarily. And of course, I don't have that many physical books. I'm a digital reader. I read audiobooks and I read digital books. I only have a handful of physical books and only a couple of shelves. So I really don't have the issues of them taking up space in my home, which is, I think, one of the reasons it can mount up, because when it's just a file, it's not the same as an actual physical object that you've got to shelve and dust, So that was one of the reasons that it wasn't really an issue, and to some extent still isn't a huge issue. However, I do know that I tend to purchase books based on my mood, and sometimes I don't purchase based on the need to have that book. It's the need to have a book, any book, so long as it vaguely interests me, which means that a lot of the books I own aren't necessarily the ones I was most excited for. They were the ones that were cheap and available and could be bought for 99p on a coffee break at work, So I knew that I had that slightly unhealthy relationship, and I was trying to break myself of it. However, I did find that once I finished that Read What You Own project, my old ways came back worse than before. because I'd been held back from purchasing, I then purchased even more, and I felt like I'd earned the right to do it. So I kind of went mad on both occasions after finishing Read What You Own, and I did say to myself, I don't think Read What You Own is the right thing for me after the last time. Not only that, it falls in November, and for me, November, December and January are when I most want to buy books. They are the time that I'm buying things for myself around Christmas, in winter, because I love winterish books. I love Christmas books, and that's when they're usually on sale. And so for me, that's the time I want to buy books more than any other, and to put a limit on it during that time seemed fairly cruel. So there were the two reasons I thought maybe I won't do it this year. However, because of the way it happened last time, it led me to rethink how I buy books and my own feelings about book purchasing, and to go, well, if that didn't work, what will work? So I came up with my own solution during the summer, actually. I decided if a book ban doesn't work, then what will? And for me, it was to say, okay, every year I will have a set limit of books that I can purchase, which is fairly low, 30, 40 books. I will be able to buy up to that amount, no problem, I can go crazy. But if I want to buy more than that amount, I have to earn those extra books. So I can earn them in multiple ways by doing, I have lots and lots of little bingo cards that are themed, that have lots of books that I own on there, and I can cross them off as I read, and when I get a line, I earn a new book. And so it keeps me reading the books I already have, while also earning more books. And I'm going to discuss this a lot more in the new year, because that's when it will start again, and it seems an appropriate time to talk about it. But it definitely was, I definitely came up with it because of Read What You Own. Through Read What You Own, it led me to where I am now. And I found it's very healthy for me. It really works for me, and I feel in a good place with my book purchasing, because it's not just limiting me from buying books on a whim, which isn't always a problem, but it's always making me think, is this book worth one of my allowance? You know, is this book really what I want to read, or is it just a bit hyped and I could do it, or I might like to own it? So I like the way that limits me, and it works. So why do Read What You Own again? And as I said, I didn't know that I was going to. I thought I might not. And then, of course, I have no self-control. So the moment Criminally mentioned it, I was like, yes, I'm here for Read What You Own. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm a clown. I did it because I do, like I say, I do enjoy the project. I really, really do. And I know more about myself than I did last year. So I feel that I can go into this understanding the way my mind works and what I want to get out of it. And so I thought, I'll set it low this year. It's 24 books. That's a great amount to read. I can go on a pause from purchasing until I've read 24 books. And to spice it up, I want 12 of those to be physical, actual paper books, and the rest can be digital. So it will encourage me to actually clear out a bit of a shelf as well. So for me, that was the plan. And I've made good progress, I think. I've currently read 10 books, of which only one is physical. The rest are digital, but I was really happy with it, that I've got that far. And I think I probably won't finish until January, because there's only so many physical books I can read, because I tend to read them less because it's less practical. I read on the go. I read at work, on my lunch break. I read in the car listening to audiobooks. I read in bed. So I don't tend to haul a physical book around with me all the time. So it's pushing me. I will do it, and I'm excited, and I've been really enjoying it, and I've read some really great things. Most of the things I've read you'll see in upcoming videos or in videos already done. However, because as I always want to do some sort of book review when I'm talking about the book world, I don't ever just want to do a video that's just me yammering on about my relationship with books, when want book content. You want to hear me talk about books and about my feelings and give a hopefully fairly coherent review of them. So I'm just going to do a little cheeky book review of the last book I read for Read What You Own. Just like to ask, if you are watching this, if you've given me your very precious time, please could you connect in some way to the video, give it some form of engagement, a like, a comment, a subscribe would be wonderful. I'm such a new channel. I'm fighting in the weeds of the YouTube algorithm. Every single view, every click means the world to me, and I only want to build a community and to talk to people about books. That's all I'm here for, so if you could do that, it would be wonderful. And now I'm back from that horrible bit of self-promotion, which is something I hate more than anything on earth, here to talk about the book I read, which is Tommy Cabot Was Here by Cat Sebastian. And this book is a classic Read What You Own book. It's what this sort of challenge was built for. It's a book that I kind of got on a whim because I've read a couple of Cat Sebastian books before, really liked them. So when they came on sale, I just grabbed it. And then it kind of sat on my unread list for several years because it was just a book by an author I kind of liked. So I didn't really pay it much attention. So I thought, this is ideal. Read What You Own is the time to really dust those books off and really grapple with them and read them. So I decided I was going to pick it up. It is a queer romance, a forbidden romance set in 1960s America at a very high up boarding school. The two main characters were at the school together. Now one of them is a teacher there, and the other one is from a very political family. They're meant to be like the Kennedys, that kind of family where everyone is connected to politics in some form and are very well known. So he is bringing his child to this boarding school, and the two men reconnect after years apart, and both of them have been going through various struggles in their life and dealing with their sexuality. And it's a romance, but it's also an examination of coming out, you know, being who you are in a very repressive society. And I just loved it. It's very short, it's 100 pages or so. It's just beautifully written, beautifully created, and I was so emotionally connected from the off. It's the kind of repressed, yearning love that I love to read about. Is it for everyone? I mean, if you don't like queer books, probably not. But if you're watching me, I hope that you do like those things. I think if you want something that's a little bit different in the queer romance arena, this is ideal, and as it's so short, you've not lost anything really if you give it a go. I've read a lot of Cat Sebastian before. I read The Missing Page, which one of my friends was just like, this book is designed for you, you have to read it. And they were absolutely right. I had such a good time with Cat's previous books, and so I was very glad that I got the opportunity to read this for this challenge. And yeah, that's all there is really to say about it, but it's what Read What You Own was made for, and I'm so looking forward to reading more along those lines, more books that I've kind of forgotten about. So we will talk again in a few months, in January likely, when I've finished this challenge. I'll talk about how my feelings have evolved, what I thought overall, my relationship with books, and also specifically what I actually read. So we'll talk then, and in the meantime, if you can connect with this video in any way by a lovely comment, a subscription, a like, anything, that would be wonderful. But in the meantime, have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.